Welcome to Cineights, where you get to know the best movies and series. Today's video is about the best TV shows of all time. I hope you enjoy this video. Be sure to watch until the end because I'm sure you will like it. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Game of Thrones, based on George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire novels, Game of Thrones is an epic-scale series that ranked among the most expensive in history. The fantasy story became a crossover hit that broke ratings records and became one of the most important series in pop culture and television history. Jon Snow, Daenerys Targaryen, Tyrion Lannister, and Arya Stark are just a few of the iconic characters born from some of TV's most powerful performances. Game of Thrones also provided unforgettable moments like the infamous Red Wedding and the Hodor origin story en route to racking up numerous Emmy Awards in its time. Though Game of Thrones' final season is one of the most divisive in TV history, the series remains a massively influential, high-quality drama. Lost, another instance of a massively popular TV show with a divisive ending, Lost had an undeniable cultural impact that made it one of the biggest series in history. Certainly becoming the water cooler show, Lost's cliffhangers and mysteries were pervasive in pop culture throughout its entirety. Lost was such a massive phenomenon throughout its six-season run that studios and networks have been chasing its successor in the decades since to no avail. Lost and its ensemble cast won multiple awards across its 6 seasons, and its miss an episode and you'll lose track of the plot formula laid the blueprint for the future golden age of television. The Larry Sanders Show, spanning 6 seasons on HBO, The Larry Sanders Show is one of the most influential sitcoms in television history, having laid the groundwork for comedy shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Office, 30 Rock, Arrested Development, and The Office. The Larry Sanders Show was also instrumental in establishing HBO's reputation for high-quality TV shows, with iconic series like The Sopranos, The Wire, and Sex and the City following soon after. Though the show didn't have a massive audience, its premise of a fictional late-night talk show in which celebrities play absurd, highly fictionalized versions of themselves, as well as its critically acclaimed writing, technical achievements, and satirical authenticity make it a landmark comedy series. Breaking Bad, there may have never been a more tightly written drama in the history of television. For 5 seasons, Breaking Bad made sure every scene in every episode mattered and built toward an important plot or character development. The culturally pervasive show told the story of Walter White, a chemistry teacher diagnosed with cancer, who partners with his former student to cook and sell meth. Watching White become hungry for power and get driven to do terrible things made for one of the most interesting character arcs ever witnessed. Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul won several awards for their incredible portrayals of the 2 lead characters, with Breaking Bad never experiencing a dip in quality. Mad Men, AMC helped show that prestige television was the future of the medium thanks to shows like Mad Men. Set in the 1960s, Mad Men's characters operated within the stylish world of advertising, which seemed to encourage the indulgent, narcissistic, and immoral lifestyles of its most successful people. Jon Hamm's Don Draper made for one of the most complex protagonists in television history, eventually winning a lead actor Emmy. He and his dark past were compelling and even sympathetic at times, as well as appalling and frustrating. His gripping journey through the decades resulted in 4 Emmy wins for Outstanding Drama Series and a legacy as a stylish landmark show in the early phase of the golden age of television. Friends, for almost the entire decade that it was on the air, Friends was one of the biggest shows in the entire world. Millions tuned in each week to see what Rachel, Ross, Joey, Chandler, Phoebe, and Monica were up to the point where the cast was able to band together and get contracts at values that were unheard of. It also earned more than 60 Emmy nods and contributed to the cultural lexicon with its many iconic scenes, phrases, gestures, and hairstyles. Having influenced many sitcoms to follow, Friends remains one of the most watched TV shows as it introduces new generations to Ross and Rachel's frustrating will they won't they subplot and the entire group's relatable experiences throughout their 20s and 30s. Better Call Saul, spin-offs that live up to the original show are few and far between, so when news of a Breaking Bad spin-off was announced, there weren't high hopes. However, Better Call Saul managed to surpass the quality of its predecessor and take the all-time great show to even greater lengths. Focusing on the lawyer who helped the protagonists in the original series, this prequel tells his story, features several Breaking Bad characters, and adds to what happened after that show ended. Bob Odenkirk received 5 Emmy nominations while Jonathan Banks, Giancarlo Esposito, and Rhea Seehorn also scored nods, with the writing and direction of the show being some of the greatest in the history of television. Band of Brothers, HBO's Band of Brothers is the greatest war drama series of all time, with its miniseries format allowing for a deeper, heartbreaking, compelling look at the lives of real soldiers and the horrors of war with astonishing visuals for the small screen. Created by Saving Private Ryan's Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, the big-budget Band of Brothers is based on the true story of a regiment in World War II, becoming the highest standard for all TV shows about World War II to follow. Winning numerous awards and standing out as a cinematic achievement, Band of Brothers' 10-episode miniseries boasts one of the greatest ensemble casts and stories in TV history. The Twilight Zone. From 1959 until 1964, the original The Twilight Zone series changed television with its format and premise, becoming the most influential sci-fi TV show in history. It worked as an anthology series, with each episode focusing on different characters and different situations. Traditionally, the best Twilight Zone episodes were sci-fi or horror-related, but some dove into the worlds of fantasy, suspense, and thrillers, in which they broke. The Wire. Set in Baltimore, The Wire surrounds the intertwining lives of law enforcement and criminals and realistically told the story. The creator of the show, David Simon, had experience as a journalist for the Baltimore Sun, which played a part in why the show felt so honest and raw. Despite that the crime drama's intensity and superb writing make it one of the greatest shows of all time, The Wire never won any significant awards during its 5-season run. Did, however, help launch the careers of Idris Elba, Michael B. Jordan, Michael K. Williams, and more, and has become the golden standard for police dramas. The Simpsons. Though The Simpsons' more recent seasons have not been looked on as fondly, it doesn't erase its decades as one of the best, most culturally relevant comedies on television. Following the titular family in Springfield, The Simpsons uses its iconic animation style and irreverent sense of humor to become one of the longest-running series of all time, so long that Homer's age is now a plot hole. The show also changed how people viewed animated series as it was willing to be rude, shocking and push back against any calls for more wholesome storytelling. Leading the way for adult family animation and continuing to comment on cultural changes with each season, The Simpsons is one of the most historically important series of all time to the television landscape. The Sopranos. This intense series followed the story of a New Jersey mob boss as he dealt with balancing his family issues and his business problems, all while seeking psychiatric help, and in no uncertain terms was responsible for showing that TV was no longer cinema's less prestigious cousin. HBO's The Sopranos was groundbreaking, especially when it premiered back in 1999. Led by the excellent performances from the likes of James Gandolfini and Edie Falco, The Sopranos took the world by storm. The Sopranos was almost always mired in some controversy, yet remains the cornerstone of prestige television as the greatest example of a drama series with humor, shock factor, stellar writing, incredible character work, compelling performances, and suspense.